What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Carry Across. So, before we get to the lesson, I tried to speak into the GoPro microphone, but while I was riding the bike, I kept losing track of my thoughts because I was focusing on everything on or near the road. It ended up being a pretty bad commentary, so I decided to do another voiceover, like all my other videos have been so far. However, if you guys would like to just have a commentary where you can hear the video in the background, like the motorcycle exhaust, the wind, the cars going by, then I will work on doing that and make better videos of that. But if you guys would just prefer the voiceovers because you just like hearing me talk and you like the lessons that are in these videos, then we'll just stick to the voiceovers. Whichever you guys prefer, we will stick with. Now, on to the more important matter at hand. Today's episode is a very important lesson that every follower of Christ needs to learn. It all begins with Numbers 22:12. Yes, that's right. Balaam's donkey. For those of you who have read Numbers, I am sure you're very familiar with the story and it probably stuck with you. I believe is one of the most important stories in Numbers. I mean, let's be real, let's be honest here. There are quite a few important lessons in this book. But today we're going to talk about Balaam's donkey. When I read this book, it's not really a book, it's a paragraph, it's the whole chapter, I guess. I believed God was telling me I needed to make a video on this because this is such an important lesson and it opened up my eyes to something that, I didn't even realize at first. And I'm guilty of falling into sin over and over again, not realizing the lesson in this book that we're going to get into now. But before we get into the main lesson, we're going to give some history, the gist of what led up to this story. So the Israelites, who were God's chosen people at the time, were heading towards Moab, another nation. The king of that nation was King Balak. I think I'm pronouncing that right. B-A-L-A-K. King Balak feared the Israelites. Rightfully so. They had God watching over them. But not only that, they also destroyed, with God's help, may I add, the Amorites, the country right before Moab. Balak knew this, so what does Balak do, you may ask yourself? Did he perhaps pray to God to have mercy on his nation? Did he allow the Israelites to just walk on through his country, not blocking their way? Nope, he did not. He does not do what any person with common sense would think to do. Instead, he calls for his messengers, the elders in the, again, don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, the Midianites, to go to Balaam, the man named Balaam, that is. King Balak really believed that he could convince this man, Balaam, to curse the Israelites, which God has blessed over and over again. That evening, God approaches Balaam and asks, "Who are these men with you?" With that, Balaam then explains that a nation has come out of Egypt and to curse them, so Balak could possibly fight them off. God said that Balaam could not go with the messengers to Moab because he was to not put a curse on the Israelites. The next day, Balaam tells the messengers this, and they were not very happy at all. They asked Balaam what was the cost. Balaam said that Balak could give him all of the gold and his kingdom, and still he could not curse the Israelites because God is blessing them. Which, that's a very good point. You can't mess with God and his will. If it's his will for the Israelites to succeed, it is going to happen. But now we finally get to the valuable lesson here. The next morning, after God has told Balaam to go to Moab and meet Balak, Balaam gets on his donkey and takes off. They're traveling down a road, and although Balaam can't see him, the angel of the Lord appears in the middle of the road with a sword. The donkey sees the angel of the Lord, however, and decides to try and avoid the angel and walks off the road into a vineyard with a small, narrow path with walls within it. Balaam begins to beat the donkey because of the disobedience. They keep going a ways, then again, the angel of the Lord appears in the middle of the path within the vineyard. Again, Balaam is blind to the angel of the Lord, but the donkey sees it and tries to avoid the angel and crushes Balaam's leg in between the donkey and the wall. Again, Balaam beats the donkey. They go a little more down the path. The path is getting to be a bit more narrow. In fact, it is so narrow that the donkey can't turn around. The angel of the Lord appears again. The donkey stops and lays down underneath Balaam. Balaam beats his donkey and threatens to kill it. Then God spoke to the donkey, saying, "Why have you beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam replies with, "You have made a fool out of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." The donkey said, "Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?" Balaam replies, "No." Then God opened his eyes, and he could now see the angel of the Lord standing there with a sword. He fell face down. The angel of the Lord spoke and said, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now, but I would have spared it. It, as in being the donkey." Balaam said, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, if you are displeased, I will go back." I encourage everyone to read this whole story. In fact, just read the whole book of Numbers. You know what? Read the whole Bible. But seriously, the story of the donkey is here to remind us that when we are about to head down a sinful path, fall into sin, or step away from God, they're one and the same in all reality. That He, God, is here with us, giving us signs to remind us that what we are being tempted to do is sin in a reckless path, like He told Balaam. I know you are tempted to head on to that website you know you should not be looking at. God might be blocking the IP address so your device can't reach it. He might have someone call you to distract you. He might spark your motivation to do something you've always wanted that'll make you a better, healthier person. Please, take the hint. You might be tempted to go hang out with friends that you are always jealous of. You might be jealous of the money they have. You might be jealous of the cars that they have. You might be jealous that they all have a house, their own place. You might be jealous of their career path. You might have something come up in your life, or their life, so that you won't hang out with them. Therefore, you won't feel the need to be jealous of them when you are around them. You might be tempted to head to the local bar and get drunk. Maybe you arrive and it's closed. This may be God telling you to step away from the sin of being drunk. Just know that He is here with you. He will never leave your side. He wants you to stay with Him. He is good. And with that, I hope the Holy Spirit will remind you of this story whenever you feel tempted, so that you know God is with you. Do not fall into the temptation. Temptation is not the sin. The sin is the action which you are being tempted for. This marks the end of the video. It is now time for you to go pick up and carry your cross. See you in the next one.